Welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network, coming to you from the TeacherCast studios since 2011. Join us each week as we bring you the latest educational news, EdTech updates, and hottest interviews with today's most influential leaders in education. And now, for your host, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach podcast, episode number 76. Today, we're going to be talking all about our New Year's Tech Coach resolutions. And with that, I want to say welcome to 2020, everybody. Congratulations, you made it. And thank you so much for sticking around. And as I said earlier, making TeacherCast your home for professional development. There's a lot of great things that are happening over on our Tech Coaches Network, and I am so excited to be going next week to the FETC conference. We've got some great sessions doing. On Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a 2-hour educational podcasting workshop, and then I was invited to take part in the Future Ready Tech Coaches workshop that they're doing there. I'm looking forward to checking out some great tech coaches and doing some interviews with some amazing tech coaches. If you guys are going down to FETC next week, let us know. We would love to meet you, love to get you on mic, and would love to hear what your New Year's resolutions are. But that's not the only thing I'm excited about. We have some breaking news about our podcast. We have a brand new home. Well, maybe not a brand new home, but a new home to announce. You see, over the last 2 years of doing this show, we were proudly on 2 different iTunes feeds, or should I say Apple Podcast feeds at this point. We were on an Ask the Tech Coach feed where you were only able to subscribe to just this amazing show, and we were on a Master TeacherCast feed where if you were subscribing to that, as most people were, you were getting tech coaching stuff and podcasting stuff and ed tech stuff. And we made some conscious decisions over the holiday break to basically make sure that the content was going to be available to those who wanted it, how they wanted it. And we had a lot of people saying, we would love to just make sure that we can get our stuff on a dedicated tech coach channel. So that's what we did. We broke down a few different things, and I apologize off the bat if for whatever reason, you were listening to the original TeacherCast feed and you're like, hey, where's the Tech Coach show? Well, I'll tell you where it is. If you head on over to askthetechcoach.com or check us out over on teachercast.net/subscribe. You will find all of our stuff. We are, of course, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, and soon we're going to be on Spotify. Looking forward to getting onto all the major platforms. But that is one of those big changes that happened at the end of 2019. I took all of our podcasts and just put them into their own silos, if you will, into their own feed. So no more Monster TeacherCast feed. It used to be called teachercast.net/iTunes. If you are still subscribed to that feed, that is now our brand new podcast I'm calling The Jeff Bradbury Show, which is designed to teach you guys all about marketing and branding and social media and web design, all these different things. So check them out. We've got some great podcasts, whether it be The Jeff Bradbury Show, Ask the Tech Coach, Educational Podcasting Today, or of course, the TeacherCast podcast. There's a lot of great shows happening over there, and you can check it out over at teachercast.net/subscribe. Of course, this week, we're also getting back into our Tech Coach Mastermind. We're going to be doing our next Mastermind meeting after FETC, so probably the last week in January. Haven't quite set a date for that yet, but if you're still interested in joining our Mastermind for 2020, it is now a great time to do so. 6-month plans, 12-month plans. You can head on over to teachercast.net/mastermind and sign up today. Make that one of your New Year's Tech Coach resolutions. And of course, if you have any questions about being a tech coach, you can reach out to us on Ask the Tech Coach at Twitter. I'd love to meet you guys and get to know how I can help you guys out this year. And of course, today we are starting a brand new calendar year, talking all about New Year's Tech Coach resolutions. I hope you've had a great ending of 2019 and are looking forward to a fabulous 2020. Guys, I'm here to help you guys out. If you have any questions, this is Ask the Tech Coach. Let me know. your questions become our topics. And the question today is, what are we looking forward to? And how do we get 2020 rolling in the right direction? I got to tell you, I've got a lot of New Year's tech coaching resolutions. The first one I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, it feels like nonstop. I made a resolution just to dig up all of my old digital files and reorganize them and update them. As many of you guys know, I am a tech coach in a middle school, but I'm also a full-time middle school teacher. I teach 12 classes. I teach a broadcasting class and a technology class, and we're just at that spot where the semester is going to end soon in a few weeks. And I went back this past weekend to all of those first couple projects. I redesigned the websites. I put learning objectives up top. I added a ton of animated graphics to my Google sites. I reorganized my Google Drive. I put everything in order. And trust me, the project is not done yet. But there's a lot of things that I've been working on. So that way, the next time I start the semester, it's somewhere in the 20s of January is when we switch over. I get a whole mess of new students, new course, new everything. I'm looking forward to actually doing these courses with a little bit of knowledge of how things work. So first thing I'm looking forward to is reorganizing my digital files, getting it done, getting it organized. My goodness, I feel so much better now than I did at the beginning of the year, where I was starting these courses and didn't have a clue of what was going on in front of me. And as a tech coach, it's the same thing. How do you organize the emails that you're giving out to teachers? How are you organizing all of the mailing lists? How are you organizing all the correspondences? Now is a great time just to kind of think about that, reorganize things, rethink about how your Google Drives or your OneDrives or any of your online drives are. What can you do to get yourself clean, clear, and clear-headed for this coming end of the school year? The next thing I'm looking at doing is updating all of my tutorials to reflect new updates. I got to tell you, being on the press pass side of FETC, I'm getting a slew of emails from great companies saying, would you like to come out and see our new offerings, our new features? Can we get on the show? And I'm excited to do that, but that just reminds me of how busy these tech companies are during the year. Maybe you're one of those tech coaches that likes to create a lot of tutorials or put things together in S'mores or Google Sites. Take the time now to kind of poke around. Is anything needing updated? Because the last thing you want is for a teacher to reach out, try something that they see that you've promoted, and then realize that you're not up to date with your stuff, right? Did they change the color of the button? I always go back to the story from a few years ago. I spent a whole mess of time over the summertime putting together a full 20 videos on Google Drive, only to realize at the end of the summer they changed the color of the new button from, I think it was red to blue or blue to red, and all of my videos had the wrong color. And, it was kind of weird having all these teachers go, you said the wrong color in the button. And I'm like, I don't know. So number one, organizing my digital files, certainly something I've been working on, looking forward to. Updating all my tutorials to reflect on new updates, that's important. And I also add on to that, check around Twitter, check around your social feeds, see what other people have been blogging about. Can you share some of their examples in your tutorials, in your presentations? What can you acquire from your PLN to make this year's presentations even more valuable? The third thing I always want to talk about is that your administration. We talked a lot about admins in September, but now is a great time to recheck in with them. Stop by their office. Hey, how are those goals? We talked in August and said, what are your goals? You told me what you're looking for, and now we're halfway through the year. Are you seeing anything in the classrooms that I can help you out with? Can I be prepared to create any PD? Are you looking to go a certain way? How can I support you and your staff now? A little conversation like this goes a long way, and now is a good time before, that end of the year push where maybe they will be in their offices, or maybe you will be able to find some downtime with them in the hallways. Check in with your administrators right now, see what you can do, because I got to tell you, my administration's doing observations. This is a good time for me to go to them and say, what are you seeing in the classrooms? How can I help out? What can we do here? Now, the fourth thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is to reach out to your teachers. Now, I know, as soon as you come back from break, you want to go into all those classrooms you're familiar with, reconnect, remake friends. But what if you made a little New Year's resolution here and say, every month I'm going to try to make 2, 3, 4 new friends, right? And that doesn't mean that you're going to walk into a stranger's class with your clipboard and your Chromebook and say, I'm here to help you. But maybe you walk into a classroom of somebody who you're not familiar with or not comfortable with and just say, hey, how you doing? Tell me about yourself. Do you have any kids? What's life like? What are you doing? What are you excited about? What are some of the troubles been? Don't walk in as the tech coach. Just walk in as a colleague. Make some friends. Figure out what you can do to maybe attract them into your stable of technology goodness and see how you can work with them this year. Now, guys, the last thing I want to recommend you guys do, and this is my biggest resolution, I've been thinking about this a lot, even over this weekend here, is to reflect, right? Reflect from everything that happened last week, last month, last year. Write down what happened. And, even as a middle school teacher, I do this constantly when it comes to the lessons. Again, I'm doing these lessons for the first time. So after a lesson, I always take a moment to write down and reflect what worked, what didn't work, how did it work, what kind of students did it work for, what kind of students didn't it work for, how is it going to be done differently, and what can I do to improve it now that I'm about ready to take that journey to do it a second time. And that's why I go back to number 1, reorganizing my files, re-looking at my websites, re-looking at all of the materials and trying to figure out things. But that's just my list, everybody. Trying to figure out how do we reorganize, update, check in, meet new teachers, and reflect. Those are my 5. I want to know what your 5 are. You can, of course, reach out to me on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach. Leave us a voice message over at teachercast.net/voicemail and email us at feedback@teachercast.net. We are also looking for some great co-hosts this year. If you'd like to be on mic with me and share your passions, bring a topic, bring an idea, and bring with you your passions for tech coaching. We would love to have you on the show as we continue to grow our Ask the Tech Coach network. We're also continuing to work on our online course with our friends over at Canvas. I'm looking forward to getting that launched, and I'm saying that to you to continue to motivate how it's turning out really, really well. So I'm looking forward to launching that sometime before ISTE with our friends over on the Canvas network. So that's our list today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this show and continue to subscribe. And if you know what other tech coaches, please share this podcast with them. And don't forget to subscribe on our brand new Apple iTunes, Google Play channels, all of that stuff over on Ask the Tech Coach. And we are wherever you find your podcasts. This is episode number 76 of Ask the Tech Coach. My name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.
You've been listening to the TeacherCast Educational Network, hosted by Jeff Bradbury. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at TeacherCast or online at www.teachercast.net. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.